Shortly after the most recent halving in April of 2024, the Bitcoin transaction fees spiked to the highest level ever recorded. Transaction fees that range from a few cents to a few dollars spiked to over $250 per transaction, making the Bitcoin network essentially unusable for regular people for days. I believe these high transaction fees are one of the limiting factors to mass adoption of Bitcoin around the world. What if I told you there was a way to make Bitcoin transactions faster, cheaper, and even more private, even when on-chain fees are through the roof? Well, there is, and it's called the Bitcoin Liquid Network. In today's video, I'm going to explain what it is, how it works, and how you can use it in your day-to-day Bitcoin life. Oh, just a note, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do it right now. And while you're down there, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Thank you so much. So what is the Bitcoin Liquid Network? Officially, the Bitcoin Liquid Network is a sidechain-based settlement network designed to facilitate faster and more confidential Bitcoin transactions. A development of two Bitcoin proposals from 2017, that is BIP 300 and BIP 301, the Liquid Network was launched and the white paper published on May 22nd, 2020. The Liquid Network was designed to do three things. Number one, facilitate faster and cheaper Bitcoin transactions with its non-variable 1-minute block times and its 2-block transaction finality. Number two, improve the confidentiality of Bitcoin transactions. Transaction amounts and assets are not visible to third parties on the Liquid Bitcoin Network. And number three, the Liquid Network was designed to issue new assets. Anyone can issue new assets on the Liquid Network, including stablecoins, security tokens, and NFTs. And these assets enjoy the same speed and confidentiality as Liquid Bitcoin. So what is this sidechain thing? Making changes to the main chain of Bitcoin takes years of development and a consensus among all the parties involved for implementation. However, a sidechain can operate at a more centralized level and thus offer more experimental features without making changes to the main chain underneath. In addition, sidechains can provide these features without exposing users to the risks of altcoins because the underlying asset is Bitcoin, the world's most sound and battle-tested cryptocurrency. And what is Liquid Bitcoin? Well, Liquid Bitcoin, or LBTC, is the primary asset on the Liquid Network. The supply of Liquid Bitcoin is verifiably backed 1-to-1 with Bitcoin on the main chain. Liquid Bitcoin is generated by transferring regular Bitcoin, if you will, to the Liquid Network and then destroyed when transferring Bitcoin out of the Liquid Network. The process of moving Bitcoin into the Liquid Network is called a peg in, and the process of moving it out is called, you guessed it, a peg out. Besides its role in trading, Liquid Bitcoin is used to pay transaction fees on the Liquid Network. So how does the Liquid Network even work? Well, it has two main aspects that keep it functioning. The first is the two-way peg system. Like I mentioned, users can transfer or swap Bitcoin from the main chain to the Liquid Network by performing a peg-in transaction. This involves locking up regular Bitcoin on the main chain, which is managed by a multi-sig wallet controlled by the Liquid Federation. Then Liquid Bitcoin is issued. Once the Bitcoin is locked up on the main chain, an equivalent amount of Liquid Bitcoin is then issued on the Liquid sidechain. This LBTC represents Bitcoin on the Liquid Network and it can be used for transactions and for paying transaction fees. And then to transfer Liquid Bitcoin out of the Liquid Network, users perform a peg out transaction. This involves destroying the Liquid Bitcoin on the sidechain and unlocking the equivalent amount of Bitcoin that was locked up in the multi-sig wallet on the main chain. This peg function is available on several different channels, which we'll look at later in the video. And the second thing that keeps the Liquid Network functioning is the federated consensus. Well, the Liquid Network is run by a federation of 60 different organizations spread around the earth, but only 15 of them are called functionaries. They're the ones that control the transactions on the Liquid Network. These functionaries perform tasks such as signing blocks and managing the peg-in, peg-out process. Maintenance of the multi-sig wallet that I mentioned earlier is also part of the functionaries' responsibilities. This multi-sig wallet is an 11 of 15 multi-sig Bitcoin wallet located on the main chain. That means 11 of the 15 functionaries need to agree to sign each block and control peg-in, peg-out transactions. This ensures decentralization and security. One of the responsibilities of the functionaries is to sign blocks. So instead of using a proof-of-work type of mechanism for the blockchain, the Liquid network has a federated consensus in which 15 of the functionaries, 11 of the 15 of the functionaries need to sign each block to move it onto the blockchain. This allows for faster block times, which are only 1 minute, and reduces the energy consumption associated with proof-of-work mining. So why would anyone use the Liquid network? Why not just use the regular Bitcoin network? Basically, the Liquid network acts like one of those commuter lanes you see on the highway. The Bitcoin main chain is the big highway with all the different lanes on it, clogged with slow traffic and expensive toll booths. And the Liquid network runs alongside it, offering a faster, cheaper alternative. Unlike the commuter lanes, with the Liquid network, you can jump on and jump off anytime you want. Pretty cool, huh? There are 6 advantages that Liquid network offers over the Bitcoin main chain. Let's go ahead and look at those. Number 1, Liquid has more confidential transactions. The Liquid network employs confidential transactions technology, which obfuscates the asset and the amount of all the transactions on the network. So you can perform your transactions without worrying about what anybody knows about anything you're doing. Total privacy. Secondly, the Liquid network offers faster block times. Liquid blocks are generated once per minute compared to the regular Bitcoin networks, usually approximately 1 every 10 minutes. This significantly reduces the amount of time it takes for transactions to become processed and finalized. This is crucial if you're doing some trading or other time-sensitive operations. Number 3, Liquid has much lower transaction fees. This is partly because the Liquid network does not rely on proof-of-work mining. Also, the fees are much more predictable, which is much better for businesses or traders who need to plan their costs very accurately. As I record this video, the fees for the last block were exactly 1 cent per transaction. And then I checked on the main chain, and it was pretty cheap. Actually, it was only $1.30 per transaction, 130 times less expensive on the Liquid network. And the 4th reason you'd want to use the Liquid network is it offers multi-asset support. The Liquid network supports issuance of new assets. This means that not only Bitcoin, but assets like Tether, USDT is supported on the Liquid network, and anyone, anytime, can issue their own asset on the Liquid network. I'm not sure how to do that, but I've seen a list of some of the assets, and people are issuing their own little coins. They're creating their own little economy, if you will, on the Liquid network. It's pretty cool. And all of these assets have the same speed and confidentiality as Liquid Bitcoin on the Liquid network. And the 5th reason is its interoperability with Bitcoin. The Liquid network supports atomic swaps, that is, that moving Bitcoin from the main chain to the Liquid network, which enables seamless and trustless exchanges of Bitcoin and liquid assets between the main chain and the Liquid sidechain. The network is designed to integrate easily with the existing Bitcoin infrastructure, making it accessible for users already familiar with the Bitcoin ecosystem. And the Liquid network offers enhanced security. The 15 functionaries of the Liquid Federation use something called hardware security modules to securely sign blocks and manage the pegging process. And this provides an additional layer of security to the already secure network of Bitcoin. In addition, the Liquid network uses multi-sig transactions for additional security, ensuring that multiple keys are required to authorize significant transactions on the network. Let's take a look under the hood of the Liquid network. And to do that, we're going to head over to the trusty mempool.space website. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, here we are at mempool.space. This is a visual representation of the Bitcoin blockchain. On the left side here are the blocks that are yet to be confirmed, and there are a few of them, not too many, but they hold all the transactions that are waiting to be confirmed. And then on the right side is this sort of endless line of blocks that have already been confirmed. And if you click on one of these blocks, it will give you all the information, specific information you need about that block, including a map of the transactions. This is a map of the current block, the number of unconfirmed transactions that are in these blocks on the left side, and a little information about hash rate and upcoming changes, a list of recent transactions, recent replacements, etc. And right here, the most important thing is the current fees, 37 sats per VByte, and that sort of translates to a high priority fee of $3.46 if you want to get your transaction included in this block. If you don't, then you can use a lower fee, 31, 24, and theoretically it might be included in a future block, but sometimes the fees go up and those transactions that have lower fees get pushed all the way to the end right here. And they sit there, and sometimes they can sit there for a very long time, weeks or even months. Now, if I click this drop-down button here, I can open up the Liquid network. There it is. This is a visual representation of the Liquid network. Similar setup. There's one block here that is the block being processed and yet to be processed. And then there's a list of all the blocks on the blockchain that have already been processed. Now, some of the things you'll notice here are the block times. 1 minute ago, 2 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago. So the blocks are 1 per minute. After 2 minutes, all the transactions from here forward, or back, I guess, in time, are finalized. So it's really fast. It takes 2 minutes to make transactions final. It takes one, there goes a block being confirmed right then. Now this down here is really interesting. This is the number of Bitcoins held in the multi-sig wallet, and these are the number of liquid Bitcoins in circulation. Every time I've checked, it's always a little bit less than the number of Bitcoins in the wallet, which is good. So you don't want more liquid Bitcoin in circulation than there are Bitcoin in the wallet, because it wouldn't be a one-to-one peg. And then here's a sort of a little meter to show you how much Bitcoin is backing the liquid Bitcoin. And it's just above 100%, which is great. So how exactly do you get some of this liquid Bitcoin? I've talked about these peg transactions, but what is that? And how do you do it? Well, I'm going to show you. Basically, you swap regular Bitcoin for liquid Bitcoin using what's called a peg-in transaction. To get your Bitcoin back, you use what's called a peg-out transaction. It's that simple. Peg into the Liquid network, peg out to the Bitcoin main chain. Now I'm going to demonstrate how this works right now using what's called the SideSwap application. It can also be done directly on SideSwap.io or at SideShift.ai, or even inside a wallet called the Aqua wallet, which is a fantastic wallet. You should check it out. And that wallet is available on your respective app store for your mobile phone. Let's take a look at the SideSwap website first, and then I'll show you how the transaction works. All right, here we are on SideSwap.io. This is the home page, and they give you a little prompt to get the app, and they have versions available for all the different operating systems, which is fantastic. And there's a little slideshow here and some news, market data. I don't want to look at the price of Bitcoin right now because it's frustrating. And they are partners with the Aqua wallet. So like I said, you can do your peg in right here. So you click this, and what you would do is you need to generate a liquid address, which you would enter down here. And I'm not going to do that. I have done that before. It's great. You generate an address, a receiving address in a wallet like Blockstream Green wallet, which is available on mobile or desktop, or the Aqua wallet, which is available on mobile. And then you put the liquid address in here. And then what happens is once you do that, you press continue, and it generates a Bitcoin address or a main chain address from their multi-sig wallet that we talked about, which is locking up your Bitcoin. And then you send your Bitcoin to that address, and an equivalent amount of Bitcoin gets sent to the liquid address that you add right here. Make sense? And then the peg out is the opposite. You enter your Bitcoin address from your wallet that you want the Bitcoin to go to, and then you send your liquid Bitcoin to the address that is generated after you press continue. Okay? So you can do it right here. You don't need any fancy software other than wallets for Bitcoin and liquid. But I'm going to get the application, download it, install it. on my Mac and show you how to do it on that. Okay, here we are inside the SideSwap application on my Mac. And you can see up here, there's send, receive, import a transaction if you want to add a transaction to your wallet. And what I want to do is not located up here, but rather way down here. And it's right in this menu down here, which is kind of hard to see and hidden, but there's a home button where we are right now. There's a swap market where you can bid for liquid Bitcoin and other assets and USDT. You can instantly swap from liquid Bitcoin to USDT or any other assets that are on here. They have a Euro, a Tether, USDT, and decentralized PIX. I'm not sure what that is. You can swap from one to another, and then you can peg in and peg out. And again, this is a desktop application. I'm not on the internet. So what you want to do is you would want to deliver Bitcoin to this address, and then you want to generate liquid Bitcoin. Now, the conversion rate is a 99.9%, so 0.1% fee, not 1%, 1/10 of 1% is charged for pegging into the liquid network. I'm going to press peg in, and I'm going to enter my PIN. Okay, now this has generated an address for me to send regular Bitcoin to. So what I would do is I would copy this address by pressing this copy button right here, and then I would paste it into another wallet and send Bitcoin to this address. And then what happens is they're generating a liquid address in the wallet in this application, and liquid Bitcoin would show up in that wallet. I'm going to go ahead and send regular Bitcoin to this address, and we'll see how long it takes and how it works. This is the minimum amount of Bitcoin that it needs to be sent in order to accomplish this transaction. It's 10,000 sats, or 0.0001 Bitcoin. It's a little blurry to me. All right, I'll be back in a minute after I send Bitcoin to this Bitcoin address. All right, I sent some Bitcoin to that address, and it's already showing up right here in my regular wallet transaction list under liquid Bitcoin right here. 0.002, I sent double the minimum amount. The minimum amount was about $6.50. And let's look at some details. Here's the transaction ID, which we can look up on the mempool.space if we want to. And let's go ahead and see. Oh, the transaction is actually included in this block right here. All two of them. I don't see the transaction. I'm going to look up the transaction, and maybe it was in this one. I'm going to copy this transaction ID and paste it into mempool.space and see what we can find. And the fee was 0.1 sats per VByte, not 30, 50, 200, 500, 2,000. The total fee was 17 cents, and the transaction amount is confidential. I can't see the amount that was sent. Where was it sent? I don't know. I don't know who it was sent to, what amount was sent. Fantastic. And the transaction has been confirmed. And let's go ahead and look at the transaction list. It's been received. It has had 2 confirmations. And there's a link button here, which takes you right to blockstream.info, which is more information about the transaction. There we go. And you'll notice here, it doesn't have anywhere where you can see how much the transaction had. It tells you what the transaction fee was, but not how much was included in the actual transaction. Oh, it's right here. I'm sorry. And if you'll notice here, the transaction fee is included here, which was 0.1 sats per VByte, and the amount that I sent was right here, which I'm a little confused about, but because I thought it was supposed to be confidential, but I'm not sure. This transaction was not confidential. The one above it was. And so my transaction is visible to the public if they knew what transaction I was doing. Anyway, let's go back to the wallet. That is how we do a peg in. Now, to do a peg out, it's just the opposite. I'm going to press this button here, select the max amount of liquid Bitcoin in our wallet, and then I would paste here the Bitcoin address that I wanted to receive it. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be back in just a second. actually, I changed my mind. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the home page. I'm going to send this liquid Bitcoin, the total amount, using this send button up here in the corner. I'm going to send it to my Aqua wallet. So it's going to be a liquid Bitcoin transaction. And I have my Aqua wallet on my iPhone. I'm going to copy an address from my Aqua wallet to receive, and I'm going to send the max, and I'll show you that transaction in a second. Okay, I pasted the receive address of liquid Bitcoin from my Aqua wallet, and I'm going to send this over the Liquid network to my Aqua wallet, and it should just take a minute to confirm. I'm going to review the transaction one more time. Good. The fee has gone down, thank goodness, because 0.1 sats per VByte is just way too high. And I'm going to broadcast the transaction, enter my my PIN. And here is the transaction receipt, liquid Bitcoin. The amount was 0.0002, and the network fee was a ridiculously small amount. My transaction ID, link to the Explorer. And let's take a look at the Blockstream Explorer of the transaction. It is yet unconfirmed. And the fee, and if I scroll down, it should be confidential. There's the transaction, I believe. And I'll be back in just a sec, and we'll take a look at that transaction once it completes. All right, here we are on mempool.space. And this is the last block that the transaction was included in. And there aren't a ton of transactions in here. This is the collection of transactions from that last block. This is the transaction that I used and to send from the SideSwap application to my Aqua wallet. And you can see here is the fee was 9 cents. And in this case, the amount is confidential. Fantastic. In conclusion, the Liquid network rocks. It offers faster, cheaper, and more confidential transactions than the main chain Bitcoin network, and I love it, and I plan on using it a lot more. Let me know what you think about the Liquid network in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.